Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ask a Death Doula. My name's Suzanne O'Brien. Don't forget, the Good Death Seminar Series is on now. It is live. It's a 6-month series, live in Zoom. We have people joining from all over the world. It is not available in a replay. You've got to claim your seat to be in that room. It is so worth it. It's going on now. You get a workbook, you get group discussions, and they are magical. Sign up for the Good Death Seminar Series below, and we'll see you there. Okay, this is a very beautiful, personal, and a bit painful podcast that we're going to do today, and for multiple reasons, as you'll see. It's called Surviving Hurricane Milton, and I want to share with you, it's a little bit over a week that I got back from the location that I had went to quickly to try and be out of the eye of the hurricane storm. So let's take a deep breath in and let's just join each other in this present moment with gratitude and being able to have this moment together. And this is a podcast where I really want to share with you some awarenesses that came about on reflection of that experience and what is happening. And, going back to learning about how to live from those at the end of life teaches you everything from the dying about how to live. And one of them is that everything is always a learning experience, that things are happening for you, that what is the gift here, even though I know they don't look like gifts, where can you show up in service? And this is a major moment of that. So I want to start by saying I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, which, by the way, shout out to St. Petersburg, the most amazing, beautiful community of people, run so well, so beautiful. And then I heard somebody just said, like in Tampa as well, that we live in paradise. And that was really accurate, so I get to go from New York, I get to go to Charlotte, I get to go to St. Petersburg. And St. Petersburg is my main home. And what a beautiful place it is. When Helene came, it's very emotional to go back and to think of all of the suffering that happens with this. When Helene came, we didn't expect it to do the damage that it did. That's putting it mildly. So I was here in St. Petersburg. It was a bit scary, but also, I feel like my building is good. I'm in a big building. I'm not by the right by the shore. It was not an evacuation zone. Went through that. And then we saw the unbelievable devastation that the storm surge and that what happened in Asheville, North Carolina, just mind-boggling, heartbreaking, the whole thing. And I had a trip scheduled for New York City to go do some work. And then also I was going to go up to see my parents because my mother had had an operation. She had had her knee replaced. By the way, mom's doing great. I know everyone asked me on that, so thank you for that. She's a bit of a Wonder Woman herself. So 5 days after the hurricane of Helene, when I knew that my situation was good and that I had this scheduled flight to to New York, and that I had my daycare all set up for my little Maple, who's my furry little baby, that they were going to come in the house, that they were going to take care of her. And I really wanted to see if caring for her, she usually goes and stays with sitters when I'm away, but if it would be better for her to be home, I wanted to try that. So we did that whole arrangement, a great company. All that was set. I'm off to New York, seeing my parents, and going to my business meetings there. On Saturday up there, I get a text from somebody from Tampa who asked me how I did in Helene. Was I okay? And they said, and another hurricane is coming next week. And I was like, what? Never in my mind did I think they would turn around that quickly. And so now I'm 2 hours north of New York City. And I'm thinking, all I'm thinking about, and again, they didn't really know what intensity it was or what it was going to do. They start as tropical storms or a level 1 hurricane. They change paths, they lose momentum, and sometimes they gain momentum. And so I wasn't playing any chance because we just saw what happened with Helene. You think it's going to be one way, and it was completely different. The storage surge is what killed so many people. I think 11 people, probably, if not more, died in St. Petersburg, St. Pete Beach, because of this storm surge. So I don't trust that anything you can just say that it's going to work out how they say it's going to work out. I knew my baby was home, and I needed to get my baby because the company that was taking care of her and babysitting her said that if there is an evacuation, your sitters are not responsible for your pet. They will have to evacuate and leave your pet. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm not even out on the outside taking any chances of that. I need to get back to St. Petersburg, to Maple. And so what I did was I got back to New York City. So that was on Saturday. I found this out. I left on Sunday to get back to New York City, making plans with my son on changing flights. And at the same time, progressively, you're hearing that the storm is picking up momentum, that now it's going right for Tampa and St. Petersburg. And now it's just category 3. And maybe it's going to be a category 4. Like, it really started to become really intense. So I changed my flight again to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday to be on that first flight out to Tampa Monday morning, because I knew they would shut down flights at a certain point. And I also want to tell you this, I would move heaven and earth to get to my dog. I would move heaven and earth to get to somebody who needed help. And that was my main focal point. And I needed to make sure that that was done. And so everything else would be secondary once I was here. But getting back to her and making sure that I was here for her was everything. So knew that when I took off on that flight and got into Tampa, I was so incredibly grateful. That was Monday. And I came home and I packed up, I scooped her up and packed up and went and, got gas, which, by the way, it's a very interesting thing. The gas was already starting to run out because people were filling up their gas tanks to evacuate. So, there's a whole bunch of elements that go into this. And that was Monday. And so the plan was this, that I was going to drive from the west coast of Florida, which is where St. Petersburg is, to the east coast of Florida all the way, because my parents, they have a home there. And we knew that the storm was going from west to east, but we also know that once it does hit landfall, that impact slows it down typically until it gets to where it needs to go. So even though I would still be in the path of the hurricane, it would be not a level 4, which they expected it to hit Tampa. And thank every prayer and every angel and all of the beings that were part of this, that the eye of that hurricane that was a level 4 that would have destroyed so much in its wake broke apart. The eye of it broke apart right before it hit landfall, which, again, the power of prayer. However, we knew that I would be part of that, but it would maybe just be a level 1 hurricane when I was in Vero Beach, or even a tropical storm. So I would still be in the wake of it, but it wouldn't be the magnitude. So I went over there. It was a 3.5 hour, maybe 4 hour drive. Got there Monday night and felt really good about that. I had my baby with me. I had my little fur baby. I was in a safe zone, or so I thought. And here we were. And this is what I want to share with you, is that the tornadoes that whipped up, no one expected that, right? Well, Mother Nature and the things that are happening, we don't expect. They were on that East Coast. There was a 2.5 mile tornado that was right in my town that I was thinking I was safe in, right? And all of a sudden on Wednesday, my phone alarm started going off saying, hurricane, get into the basement, seek shelter. Well, Florida doesn't have any basements. You don't have basements in Florida. So I'm getting the alarms going off, knowing I don't have a basement, but I also didn't have access to cable or to the news because they didn't have TV and internet hooked up in that house, which was probably a good thing in a way. And I know you'll probably do a chuckle of this, but in 15 minutes from when the tornado warning went off, I also had to teach a class online. So I was on my hotspot for my internet classes. And so the only thing I could think about was the safest place was the bathroom, my mother's bathroom, that was, didn't have any windows and was all with tile. And I thought, okay, well, that's the safest place. Let me set up my internet, my hotspot, and teach the class. Meanwhile, the crashing and the wind and what was happening was really frightening. And the people that had fatalities during Milton, a lot of them, it was because of the tornadoes. So what I want to share with you about what I've learned is, number one, is that there really is no control. And you have to understand that things are out of your control and what you can control. So here I did all of this coordinating to go to the east coast of Florida. And I ran from the hurricane and ran into the tornadoes. And I want to share about control, but I also want to share with you that Wednesday, when there was tornado warning after tornado warning, and now I was getting calls from the family, and now they were telling me that, the magnitude, and these tornadoes were dropping down all around me. I knew in that moment that it was out of my control. And I also knew in that moment that this could be the end. It really could. It's just a question of, is it going to hit right here? And what I needed to do was say to myself, if my journey ended today where I am, would I be okay with that? Would I have resolve in where I am at this very moment to say, now listen, nobody wants to rush this. I really feel like I'm just getting started in my work. I feel like there's so much more I have to do. But I also know it's not up to me, that there's a much higher power that goes on here that's out of my human control. And I wanted to say to myself, could I reconcile if this was it? Would I be okay with that? And here's what I want to share with you. The answer was yes. The answer was yes. And that answer brought me an incredible moment of peace, because I know that I have showed up for my purpose, for my fulfillment. And I know that I do that responsibility of the gift that I am supposed to be sharing, the role that I'm supposed to be playing. I know that I show up for that 1,000% daily, because I love it. And I'm so honored to be here. And I know that I've made great use of every single day in that space for as many days that I'm gifted to get. And so that's what I want to share with you, is that they talk about end of life, the fear of death being the number one fear. Okay. So that's in the world. Statistically, they say that, death is the number one fear in the world. But I also want to share with you this very, very strong truth, is that for my patients, and I've been gifted to be with over 1,000 people at the end of life, it wasn't the fear of death. It wasn't the fear that this was their end of life. It was the absolute overwhelm of regret that they did not share their gift. They did not have the courage to live it, the courage to get rid of the unforgiveness and all of the stuff that they're carrying around that keeps them from being able to move forward. And now their time was up, over, game over, we're done now. And they were just full of regret that they didn't step out of their comfort zone into their purpose, because each and every one of you is here for a reason. There is no one that is here without a reason and a purpose. It's up to you if you energetically match the vibration where you can follow your heart guidance, your higher guidance system. What is it telling you? Lots of time it tells you do something, and here comes the ego, the human part, that says, that is such a dumb idea. Why would you ever become a death doula? That you have no end of life experience. Why would that be? Or for me, it was like, why would you go to hospice? You have no end of life experience. You can't do that. And I knew I was supposed to do that. And I knew when I thought about becoming a hospice nurse, what that felt like, that connectedness. I was being guided. And the first day I went out to see hospice patients, I knew I was in the exact place I was supposed to be in my life. It was like a piece of puzzle fitting. It was like breathing air for the first time. And I said that day that I am never, first of all, I said, that's how life works. It's not what do I think I should be doing? It's what do I know? What do I feel? Where am I guided from my heart? And that day I said, I'm never going to make another decision in life other than what do I know? Not what do I think? What do I know I'm supposed to be doing? Waiting for that inspired guidance and then taking inspired action. And if you followed my journey with Doulagivers Institute, it has been nothing short of a miracle and the biggest blessing and honor to be in this space. And we just keep saying yes to what the universe, God, source, whatever your belief system is guiding for you to do. What is your gift that you are supposed to share? We all have that. What is yours? So the fact that I could say in total peace that I had showed up for my assignment, my spiritual assignment, and worked every day to connect with that. And also made sure that every day I connect with joy and presence and gratitude and show up with non-judgment and love and make sure I am looking at the world in all its wonder and awe, not every minute of every day, but every day. Because I know that one day the journey will change and I want to be able to say, okay, when it does. And so sitting in that house with those tornadoes all around, knowing that it was just going to be chance or not chance that this happened, I asked myself that question and I was so at peace with the answer. Now, didn't want it to happen, hoping it wasn't going to happen, but also knowing that that is priceless to be able to say that. The third thing that I want you to know that on reflection came to me from the situation was, and again, I'm always asking, what is the learning here? What is this here to show me? What is this here to teach me? And the third thing it showed me was the platform of climate change. You may know that we have a new book called The Good Death coming out. Pre-order is available now. This book is beautiful. It is everything you need to achieve a good death with those you love and with yourself. Every family should have this book. It's like the what to expect when you're expecting for having a baby, but the what to expect when your loved one is dying for the other end of life. In this book is a chapter about green options, dying to be green, and the environmentally friendly options about body disposition. A few may be natural burial, green burial, water cremations, also known as aquamations, human composting. Not only are they environmentally friendly, but they are also financially friendly, which is always a benefit. I think we all want to pay attention to that. But here's what I want to say to you. Those of us that are in the United States, and there's an aging demographic worldwide, there are 78 million people over the age of 65 in the United States, 78 million. If all of those people, when they die, choose to be embalmed with those toxic chemicals and put in non-biodegradable caskets and put into the earth, this is all dramatically contributing to climate change. These hurricanes, these natural disasters, their intensity and their increase in frequency is all related to climate change. There's something we individually can do. There's many things that we individually can do, but this is a big one. Why? Because all of us will have to make this choice. All of us will have end of life. What I have found with my beautiful families is they don't know they have choices. And so taking this book as, and it has an education platform in so many different areas, in this book is just full of universal laws and lessons and wealth. And it's just absolutely amazing. Please get this book for you, your families, and give it to your friends. For this section on climate change and dying to be green and really bringing back ritual into this experience, for me to be able, as the hospice nurse, as the oncology nurse, as the founder of Doulagivers Institute, positioning climate change directly related to the choices that we have in one aspect of my education is something that needs to be brought up to that high level. So when I walk away from the situation feeling incredibly grateful and also so much compassion and empathy for the families that were directly impacted with losing their lives and losing their homes, and seeing again that things can change overnight like this in an instant. Life can change, to make sure that every single day that I am full of gratitude for what I have in this day, in this moment, because it can change in an instant. For the incredible gratitude to the first responders and all of the people that show up to care for others, to rescue them, to do the really hard work. I mean, just again, there are amazing people in this world. So sitting back in gratitude that I'm still able to be part of this journey, and then saying, how do I take this experience that I have and how does it elevate me in my consciousness, in my awareness, and in what I'm supposed to be doing to show up in service? And so sharing with you the tools of life, being able for you to understand the importance of you saying to yourself, if the journey was over today, am I okay with that? And if you are not, what are you not okay about? And get to it. Do not wait. If you know that you're supposed to be sharing a certain gift, doing something, get to it, because you don't want to get to the end of your life and have those regrets. Time is your most valuable commodity. We just don't know how much we have of it. And let me let you know that we are all here to make the world a better place. Each and every one of us in different ways and different gifts that we've been brought in. You have yours. What is it? What are you supposed to be doing? If you have not done that or you're putting it off, do not hesitate and listen to your heart. It won't make analytical sense what it's asking you to do many times. But when you think about what it's saying, become a hospice nurse. What does it feel like in your body? And when there's a sense of peace and a feeling of excitement, expansiveness, that is your higher guidance system guiding you. It's up to you to take that inspired action. And when you do, your whole life will open up in ways you had absolutely never imagined that it's possible that it could. It is the secret to life mastery, and it's the secret to how this life works. So do not hesitate. The second thing is understanding what we can control and what we can't control, and knowing to focus on what you can control and to surrender to the higher guidance and meaning and journey that this whole beautiful experience has. And also remember, we can't control is just really an illusion. Can you control it? I ran from a hurricane into the tornadoes, and that's where most of the people lost their lives, in the tornadoes. There is no such thing as control. Make smart choices, follow your heart guidance, but again, surrender and know that there is a bigger picture going on here. Know that you want to show up every single day and following the gift and the contribution you're here to make. And of course, the third is, what can this experience, what awareness can this experience bring to me to help me show up in my gift? And so for me, it was climate change, climate change, climate change. And it's so interesting because we know we hear about climate change, but do you hear about it from a hospice nurse talking about how to care for your loved one at the end of life? So it's very beautiful how the universe, God, all of the way that things work to share the gift and the message. And yes, it's not the typical thing that people would think about, yet we have a robust, beautiful good death community that people are, joining together from all over the world. So being able to bring in the importance of climate change within this space and education and helping people to make those good choices, know they have choices to share with their communities, is incredible. And I love the fact that it comes in all different ways. And so that's what I want to say to you. Be open to where you're being guided to show up, because it wouldn't make sense. And even one of my editors who was working on the book, shout out to all the people that are part of this book, said, shouldn't the climate change discussion not be in what you have as traditional burials, but shouldn't it just be in the fire cremation part? No. No, it shouldn't, because when we embalm a body, that's toxic chemicals, but when there's no oxygen there, as the body starts to decompose, it releases methane gas to the climate, but also those toxic chemicals go into the earth, affect the food source and the plant source that's growing, and it all is related to toxic climate change. So education is the tool and the power. And if there's one thing that I can impart to you on this podcast, be grateful for everything that you have. Practice forgiveness. It will release you from carrying around the things that are keeping you from living your purpose. All roads lead to forgiveness, whether it's forgiveness for self, forgiveness of others, resentment, anger, jealousy. All of those things are human experiences. All of the false belief systems that we have been programmed with, that we carry with us, you have to undo those so you can be that beautiful core vibration of a lighthouse, which you are, and then let it shine you forward, and then listen for that inspired guidance, and then take inspired action. Thank you for being here. And I want to tell you, thank you for letting me be able to do a podcast talking about Hurricane Milton. And I'm so grateful to all of the first responders and all the people that showed up for other community members. And that's what we can all do. And I just want to send out so much love to all of the families that were directly impacted by that. And wherever you can show up in compassion and kindness, we can all do that. And that is free. And that's what changes the world. So again, I want to thank you for being part of this podcast today. It's a really heartfelt one. Follow your heart. It knows the way. Now, don't forget, we're doing the Good Death Seminar Series. Again, the space is filling up quickly, so make sure to claim your spot with the link below. Share with your friends. Meet us in global community. This is how we change the world. I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of Ask a Death Doula. My name is Suzanne O'Brien. I'll see you in the next episode.